Armageddon.
Come on, get some altitude. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Years after the Cold War, mankind is still left with useless atomic devices, historical places. In this scene, for instance, he is present during the atomic attack on Nagasaki in Japan. What better way to get rid of them than to strap them to a giant, earth-shattering asteroid?
Shuttle's out of range, still no detonation.
As the blast takes out most of the area, Wolverine saves a Japanese soldier by sheltering. After all, it's time we used our most dangerous weapons against something other than ourselves.
We're going back and do it ourselves.
Armageddon gives us a lot of great Michael Bay action sequences, turning him under a big piece of metal. And surprise, both survive, but we get a little something extra when he sets off a nuclear explosion in space. The complete destruction in a scene that isn't even the unlikeliest nuclear near miss on this list. Number 5, the sum of all fears.
It's Ryan!
Ah, but Ben Affleck's flirtations with the threat of nuclear explosions Number 9, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, that can't be.
Weren't over after Armageddon.
The bomb is in play!
Unfortunately, however, Affleck as Jack Ryan wasn't quite as successful when it comes to the whole life-saving.
Not at all.
Sadly, this entire movie could have been avoided if it wasn't for that meddling refrigerator.
Sure, great, don't wait for me!
Saving thing, as the bomb Ryan's looking for goes off and kills a whole bunch of people in this political thriller.
Minus 15 seconds.
When Dr. Jones stumbles upon the model town at the Nebraska test site moments before a nuclear detonation, he must find some. Luckily, Morgan Freeman lives long enough to give him a few words of advice. Means of protection from the blast.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Luckily, there's a lead-lined fridge. Number 4, threads. Fridge. The explosion is as much as you'd expect in terms. The 80s were a time of doomsaying and fear of looming atomic war. So what better time to flood the media with movies about horrible nuclear destruction of a nuclear blast? But unfortunately, it's not powerful enough to eradicate the plot of this movie that was disliked by many indie fans. Destruction. Threads tells this charming story from a European perspective, with England as the victim of nuclear fallout. Number 8, The Dark Knight Rises. The result isn't as pretty as you might have guessed, but we're still treated to some really rad explosion scenes. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. In what he meant to be a selfless act and the. Number 3, The Day After.